So nearby Nisha, do you have a favourite act from a reality TV show?
Could I bring up that time that guy tried to show off his dog performing, but the dog was too interested in chasing ants?
Absolutely. Yes, you can.
Yes, dog.
Ants come, please.
Fine, it's fine. What's his problem with me?
In the immensely crowded and saturated, making people perform for the amusement of a crowd so that their lot in life may be improved somewhat, one of the most popular is Britain's Got Talent and others of its ilk. Despite being inundated with tens of thousands of applications every single year, the show is not above engaging in a little padding, which saw them invite a band onto the show for the express purpose of calling every member of it a loser-ass virgin.
What?
Yeah, it's mean, innit? So the first thing we should address is that almost every single one of these shows is a huge fucking scam. And they engage in a lot of behind-the-scenes trickery to sway the crowd at home feel. Because a lot of these shows are framed as, you, the audience at home, get to decide who wins. But Britain's Got Talent and a lot of shows like them engage in a lot of nefarious behind-the-scenes things to put their thumb on the scale. And one of my favourite examples of this from the past is the guy Rik Waller. Do you remember Rik Waller?
Name rings a bell. If you describe his act, I'll be like, oh yeah.
He was the fat guy who could sing on either Pop Idol or SingStar, one of those early reality TV shows. Yeah. And the story behind Rik Waller is that there was a grassroots movement to only vote for him because they thought it'd be funny for the fat guy to win. And I know, it sucks for Rik Waller because he was basically a novelty act, but you could very clearly tell the producers were not happy about that because every time he won, they were really pissed off about it and they had to read out the results. And it's very clear from the way the show was presented that they wanted the more typical pop star looking people to win because they'd be more easy to package and sell to the audience.
Yeah, I think they always look for a certain style or look of person, don't they? Even though it's about talent.
It's really not about talent.
It should be about just the talent.
And Nisha, do you have any favourite examples of reality TV shows putting their thumb on the scale? Because I've got one more example I want to mention because it's one that pisses me off. It's Britain's Got Talent, and do you remember when that dog won one year?
Yeah. What's his name? I forgot.
I don't care. Do you know why? Because the dog was a cheater. So to explain, there was a dog one year on Britain's Got Talent. It was a stunt dog, trained by a lady. It's, oh, look at this stunt dog. And admittedly, the dog was very talented, but for its final performance on the show, it was going to walk across a tightrope. And it emerged after the fact that the dog who'd been part of the show did not actually do the tightrope walk. Another dog that looked the same did.
No.
And their explanation for why they did that and why that wasn't misleading the audience, that the dog was scared of heights. It's like, well, realistically, the stunt dog you brought in is the most talented dog in Britain. That dog should have won.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing that won at the show is not the thing it did, and they were like, well, no, it's not cheating or misleading the audience.
Well,
because the dog's... It is, exactly.
It's a different dog.
It's not the same dog. Fuck you. Britain's Got Talent.
I've not watched a lot of reality TV in a long time because it got to a point where I was just bored of seeing it.
Yeah.
But when I was young, I used to watch it every week, and you can kind of see they just kind of play on the people who are bad.
Of course, yeah.
Because people find it funny.
At the same time, people love a sob story, and there are many examples of people who've signed up for shows like this and said, well, fuck this, when the producers have tried to rewrite their backstory. Yeah. There was one a couple of years ago about a comedian for America's Got Talent, I think, where they wanted him to tell a sob story that his parents didn't approve of his comedy career. It's like, well, no, they do. They're in the audience right now. It's like, that doesn't play well for TV, though. Supportive parents don't do well on TV. I
think my favourite sort of acts are the comedians and magicians, because a lot of the time you get singers and dancers winning.
Yep.
But it kind of annoys me because X Factor's for singers,
yep.
Pop Idol, that sort of thing was for singers. Britain's Got Talent should be, I think, more diverse talent, but it's like, oh, when a singer wins, you're like...
And the reason that the singers win is because Simon Cowell owns a fucking production company and he can sell an album for it. It's really hard to sell an album for a comedian or something like that. And I guess before we have to move on, we have to talk about that comedian. I think it was for Australia's Got Talent who just ripped off Lee Mack's routine. Do you remember this?
No.
This is great. So there was a comedian for, I want to say it's Australia's Got Talent, where he just told Lee Mack jokes on stage.
Really?
And there'll be a side-by-side video, no doubt, after I finish talking.
Come on, Glastonbury, you know this one. Yeah, we know it, Robbie. It was 150 quid to get in. Any chance you could sing it for us? Imagine if I came on like that. I'll tell you something. A funny thing happened to me on the way here tonight. I think you know this one.
And the comedian's defence was, well, I'm remixing Lee Mack's jokes for a new audience, and every comedian in the world's like, fuck you, write your own set. So he did, and he bombed super hard, and it's very, very funny. Anyway, let's talk about the band that got called a bunch of virgins.
So, who was this band?
Well, that band was one called Superpowerless, which was started and headed up by a guy called Oliver Hindle. And it began life as a solo project for him, but he brought in a couple of his friends to make it into a full band for when they performed on stage. So initially, all of the musical instruments were played by him, including a Gameboy. And Nisha, are you familiar with the concept of chiptune?
No.
Well, chiptune is a genre of music where you, and I quote here, circuit bend pieces of retro gaming hardware to turn them into pseudo instruments. And in the case of Superpowerless, they used an old Game Boy. And my basic understanding of it is you do some like digital wizardry with a piece of gaming hardware like a Game Boy so that you can basically just play sounds directly from the sound chip, and then you can play the Game Boy like an instrument.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's super cool.
That's really cool.
One, it's cool. Two, it's interesting. Yeah. It's unique, it's novel. And it requires a good degree of technical know-how and musical skill to be able to, like, one, understand the noises that are being made and then to turn them into something that sounds good.
Yeah.
And I'd argue that's, like, perfect for something like Britain's Got Talent, where it is a unique, novel, interesting skill that not many people have or many people will be familiar with.
Yeah, I definitely want to watch that.
We'll see if we can get it up. We've got like one of their things. While I was researching this band, like the lead guy, Oliver Hindle, is really fucking cool. So I'm hoping if he ever gets wind of this, he doesn't mind us using some of his music because like, he produced and wrote and owns it all, no doubt. But we have here, which is their Superpowerless producer tape for Britain's Got Talent. And you can see as well, they're all just being absolute fucking legends, dressed in tin foil and onesies. Why the fuck would you not be doing that shit? And it's just like a... So here he is just playing a Game Boy solo.
That's so cool.
Yeah, he is shredding on a Game Boy. Something he's able to do because he's like, you know, he's a great degree of technical know-how and musical skill. And evidently someone at Britain's Got Talent thought that was pretty cool because they reached out to the band and inquired about them appearing on the show. And this is something that Hindle was a bit confused by because it was his understanding that the show was a meritocracy and that people just walked in off the street, did their performance, and if they were good enough, then they'd make it onto the live shows and potentially win the whole thing. And the producer explained to them, well, that's kind of what we do, but sometimes we invite acts that we think would be a good fit for the show. Almost like all these shows are a huge fucking scam.
I was going to say it's scripted in a way. Well, not scripted, but they plan for certain bands or certain acts to be on the show to make it, I don't know, what they probably consider more interesting or people are going to be more successful. Yeah,
and that might be something people may not even be aware of, that this is a thing that happens, because Hindle wasn't. He was very confused when they reached out and asked them, like, wait, we're going to be on the show? Okay, cool. I guess we'll go do that. And that's when things started to get a bit strange.
So what strange things started to happen?
Well, the band were initially hesitant to appear on the show. One, because they didn't know that's a thing they did, and two, they were worried about being mocked, because Hindle is very self-aware. Like, you know, they perform on stage, as you see there, dressed in tin foil and a onesie. They know that they are like a gimmick band that has like very niche appeal, but it's still a great degree of talent and skill involved there. I think it's myself and you went to see, Rainbowdragoneyes, who are a similar band?
Yeah.
Which are a chiptune pirate metal band and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's got that same sort of, I always wondered what you'd call that sort of instrument. I guess it's a chiptune.
We probably get like someone out there who understands music, it's like just cringing in their boots.
Same with like 8-bit style. I love that sort of stuff.
Which is like, you know, it's a blending of that and like more traditional pop punk and stuff like that. But the thing is, like, even though it is admittedly very niche, there's still an audience for it, and it does require a great degree of musical skill. And the producer assured the band that they were not going to be treated as either a novelty act or a gimmick, and that they genuinely appreciated their skill and musicianship and artistry and wanted them to appear on the show to just do their thing.
Seems a bit too cushy.
Yeah, and the producer also assured the band that if they invited them onto the show just to make fun of them, that'd be a hugely unethical dick move, so they definitely wouldn't do that.
The way you're saying that is completely the opposite of what happened.
Well, they turned up on the day in a foggy morning in 2012, and the first thing that happened was the host started making fun of them. And I want to point out as well, while the host was making fun of them, the host wears outfits like this when he's performing on stage himself. Yeah.
what is that even?
I don't know. I just looked for the first picture of him I could find. That's Stephen Mulhern.
I watched Anton Deck's Saturday Night Takeaway, and he was on that dressed as Trump.
Yeah.
So
That's what I mean. He's a light entertainer. Like, he goes to fucking Butlins, and he's like making fun of these guys for how they're dressed and their performance.
I saw him. Actually, it was during lockdown. He came to Sheffield and was doing that in for a penny, in for a pound. As I was going to like a Specsavers appointment, I was like, wait, am I blind or is that Stephen Mulhern?
And that's the thing as well. Like, there's no shame in doing something like that. No, it's for light entertainment. But the fact that he's there making fun of what they do, and the band were very annoyed at his line of questioning because he repeatedly asked them if they had girlfriends, which the band were annoyed about. But it's like, why does it matter if we have girlfriends or not? And also, do your parents know what you do? It's like, why does that matter? Yes, they do. They're very proud of what I've done because I'm making money through my artistry and expressing myself creatively. Fuck you, dude.
I know, what's that got to do with it?
Exactly. And it's very clear from that line of question, you know what they're trying to like frame this band as. When like, oh, so do you have girlfriends? And it's like, yeah, we do. Eventually, after being asked that multiple times, like, yeah, we all have girlfriends. And Mulhern responded, and I quote, I guess there's hope for everybody then. And it's like, fuck off.
Oh, no.
And the band's frustrations only grew, and they tried to set up and discovered that they'd been given less time to set up than previously agreed upon, and that all the instructions they were given for what they were expected to do on the day were inconsistent and contradictory. And they noted that the film crew filming them took great pleasure in filming them wandering about the stage in a confused and dazed state, not really knowing what to do, which was no fault of the band because they turned up with one idea in mind and that had been completely flipped on its head. And they noted that when they were trying to do their performance, like they were made fun of after doing it despite not having the full time to get their setup done. So they said, this is what we need to perform as required. They didn't give them that and then made fun of them for not putting on a good show. And it's like, what? The band understandably requested that footage not be aired, especially when you know that is 100% not your fault and it was an engineered result manufactured by the same people who just like a few weeks prior had assured you that you would be treated with the most basic amount of professional courtesy.
Makes you wonder like how many other acts have been like constructed in that way.
The most nakedly transparent example of it is One Direction, where that band was literally created live on air by Simon Cowell. And they have a moment in the show because people might not even remember that One Direction all started out as solo acts on, was it X Factor or Britain's Got Talent that year? But they all came in as solo acts, and I think it was Simon Cowell, like pretty much live on air. You see him making the decision of like, well, they're all basically the same. Make them into a boy group.
Hasn't he done that with quite a few bands? So I'm like, I want to say Little Mix, maybe?
I think they were all like individual singers, or there were like two groups that he just put together. And you see it happen in the show. Like you literally see this music group being manufactured and the reasoning behind it, and they still succeed. And something very similar happened with Justin Bieber. It's one of those stories where you actually end up kind of feeling sorry for him because Justin Bieber is a remarkably talented multi-instrumentalist. Yeah. Like he's exceptionally talented. Like he can play the drums, he can play guitar. He's a singer-songwriter. He's like really, really good. And there's I think it's what's the name of the documentary about him? Either way, like the documentary about it, they're talking about, and they have an interview with the person who discovered him, and they're talking about how what their approach was of like how do we package Justin Bieber to an audience, and they were initially thinking, well, if we give him a couple of years to mature, you know, let him mature as an artist, as a musician, we can like, you know, sell him as an indie artist. And they thought, well, an indie artist won't make as much money as a pop star, so let's just turn him into a pop star. That's no fault on Justin Bieber. It's like someone just said, do you want to be a millionaire? It's like, fuck yeah.
You're just going to go with it.
Why not?
I'd probably do the same.
I feel there are very few people out there who would turn those opportunities down. It's like the thing with Justin Bieber is because he got so much shit, and the guy is super fucking talented.
I think one of his famous songs is "Baby," isn't it? Which probably people laugh about now.
Which I think is like Usher, isn't it, that he worked with in that one?
Is it Ludacris?
Either way, they teamed up with an established artist, which is a very common trend in the music industry. Team up with an established artist to get them famous, and then they just get established on their own.
It's kind of like Miley Cyrus as well. Like everyone saw her as Hannah Montana with the long brown hair, and she did that drastic change where she went blonde and wanted to do different music. People are like, oh my god, she's changed. It's like, yeah, she's grown up and she's doing her own thing.
Yeah,
I mean, it might seem a bit extreme, but if she wasn't Hannah Montana, you wouldn't think anything of it.
And I still contend, well, she's like, again, she's very, very talented because she's got that amazing I think duet with Dolly Parton, because she's like Dolly Parton's niece or something like that, where she sings Jolene with Dolly Parton. It's fucking awesome. No, it's not her fault. She was discovered as a child, and they realised we'll make more money if we package her as a child star. And then she transitions into being an adult musician, maybe in the future, but we can make our money now and then worry about that in 5 years.